Well, good morning, everybody. Welcome to the channel. And if you're tuning in today, you are in for some shocking revelations that reveal the ancient entity donning the clown suit known as Donald Trump. We're beginning to zero in on some of these ancient archetypes, relating it back to the present. Today is November 11th, 2025. And we are live. Also, as promised, we're going to dig into the shape of the Oval Office and figure out if it is connected to sleep. Now, on the show the other day, we saw that the prefixes of words, the prefixes Oz, OZ, and OS, OS, we found that they were likely the same. We found the story about the ostriches that were killed and how Dr. Oz was offering them sanctuary. We also found the land of Os, or the land of Oz, is the land of sleep. Because when we are born into this reality, we essentially wake up into the sleep. Right? We fall back asleep. God knew us in the womb, but we pass through the cervical os. And we think we're waking up into this world, but we actually fall back to sleep, and we have to figure out how to know God again throughout our lifetime and know Jesus Christ. So that was everything we covered before, and all of that's going to fit into today's show. Again, if you are tuning in, you're in for a treat. We found some ancient archetypes that are undeniable, and I'm literally blown away. I can't wait to present this to you guys today. So how does this oval shape fit in? Well, let's get into that. And then at the end of the show today, we are going to break down ZOLTAR. Remember that creepy fortune-telling machine? Well, Oz is ZO in reverse, Zoltan. And you're not going to believe what I found about that as well. But first, let's get into the Oval Office. And it didn't take long for me to realize the connection. The oval is like the word ovulate, which means to open like a portal. So, the os, the cervical os, and the oval are closely related. Now, the oval is also the vesica Pisces. Let's look at that. We're going to go to Washington, D.C. as well. I'm going to show you guys some things from the grounds, the aerial view of Washington, D.C., the ovals. We're going to get into all that today. Now, this is the vesica Pisces. This is the center of it, and this is a gate, isn't it, essentially? So, that would make the Oval Office a portal, wouldn't it? The portal of sleep. Keeping the people asleep in the right-left paradigm. Now, to further understand this, we've got to go back to Philo. Philo the philosopher. Remember Philomena? Philo de somnis, which means sleep. And we found out that Philomena fainting in the Oval Office, which was Dr. Oz's granddaughter, had meaning because Philo talked about hypnos and sleep, didn't he? And we found this writing of Philo in which he talked about sleep being basically divine messages. Now, remember this because we're going to get into the ZOHAR, which also talks about this. And I don't believe this, but this is their belief system. Okay. So we have to figure out how these people are thinking and how they're going to put us all to sleep is what they're trying to do. This is why they rolled out Ozempic, which makes you sleepy, right? But let's begin to break this down. Let's not get off track here. What you're looking at on your screen is Philo's De Somnis. And in this writing, He talks about speech, and he describes speech, as being the darkness that covers man, which would make sense, right? Since speech is what comes out of the Oval Office. It's an orifice of speech. It is a portal of speech where they have press conferences where the president addresses the nation, all the gold inside the Oval Office. I mean, you guys, this is off the chain. Now, the speech that keeps man in darkness was talked about by Philo himself. Let's read what he says about the book of Exodus, chapter 26. It speaks about a cloak that is returned to the person wearing it at night. And this is what Philo believes that this represents. Let's read this. It says, the statute to which he appeals is Exodus 26. If thou take in pledge the cloak of thy neighbor, thou shalt restore it to him before going down of the sun, for this is the only covering. This is the cloak of his unseemliness. Wherein shall he sleep? In other words, where shall he sleep? If therefore he cry unto me, I will hear him, for I am merciful. This is God talking. And he's saying that the cloak is necessary when the person goes to sleep. Let's keep reading here. Is it not natural that those who think that the lawgiver showed such zeal for raiment should remind us, if not abuse us, saying, what is this? The creator and governor of the universe call himself merciful in respect of so trivial a matter as this? They're talking about the returning of the cloak before a person goes to sleep, before the sun goes down. Such a view is characteristic of those who do not understand the greatness of the virtue of the all-great God, and without any warrant attribute human pettiness of mind to the uncreated and incorruptible nature of God. It is not strange that the creditors should keep the pledges until they recover their own. If the debtors are poor, it would have been better to write a law that should rather assist them with alms. But for what could a man pledge his only garment? No one lacks the necessities of life so long as they are springs of water and the earth bears its yearly harvest. And why is the garment to be restored at night, when darkness would conceal his shame? Nothing is said about the return of the bedclothes in the morning. Indeed, the peculiarity of the language is sufficient to lead even the slowest to perceive some meaning other than the literal. Such considerations may be urged against the wiseacres who insist upon a literal interpretation and lift their eyebrows at any other. Let us follow the laws of allegory. The cloak is a symbol of speech, the best given from God to man. Speech enables him to resist all revolutionaries. It conceals his faults and leads him to amendment. But there are some who take his speech in pledge and rob him of it. Such wage implacable warfare against the rational nature. So, how he makes the jump from a cloak given back to a person at night and speech, I don't get how he made that jump. But he goes on and on and on about this. And this seems to fit in to the land of Oz, the Oval Office from which speech emanates to take away your speech, right? Keeping us asleep in the right-left paradigm. Philo literally believes that the darkness that covers man is speech. Now, I want to explore another aspect that we revealed years ago when Biden was president, and I believe that this aspect fits into all this. The word inauguration. And remember, we broke this down, and we realized that the word augur is in the word inauguration. An augur is a spiral device used to remove something so that something else can be inserted. A spiral is a portal. And so you have to ask yourself, are inaugurations possession rituals? We thought that they probably were. Now, this word augur and inaugurations, they're peculiar words because they also contain the word AU, which is the word for gold. AU is the symbol for gold. And of course, Trump is the penultimate gold president, isn't he? Which would represent the most possession. And so we have to ask the question, is the Oval Office the land of Oz? A portal of speech to keep men in darkness? And I think it probably is. I think this is what they're getting at. Now let's go into Google Earth. Let's have some fun. Because the oval is prominent elsewhere in Washington, D.C. Let's find some of the ovals. So, of course, this is the White House, and it has an Oval Office. And then I found this oval. Yes, this is an oval. It's not a circle, because I measured it. I measured it from here to here, and from here to here, and this is actually an oval, not a circle. Then I kept looking, because the next oval, which is an egg shape, exists just beyond that previous oval. These ovals encompass the Washington Monument obelisk. There you see them on the ground, and these ovals form what appears to be a trifecta, 3 ovals, made up of the ovular vesica Pisces, as you can see here. Let's go back and show you. So here's our vesica Pisces, and here you see the same thing. Whoops, let's go back to this one here. Where are we? There we are. Same thing with the eye opening up and the Washington Monument emanating out from the center of the vesica Pisces. Now that you have your bearings, let's break this down. Because as far as we can tell, the needle in the middle, listen closely, the needle in the middle of the vesica Pisces egg trifecta, it has to mean the needle that is going to be used and is being used to merge the 2 seeds together. And I believe that this has to be IVF, in vitro fertilization. Yes, they knew back when all of this was created, they knew that this 666 monument, the mark, would be all about combining the seeds together. Why do I call this the 666 monument? Well, everybody knows that the Washington Monument is 555 feet tall, which is exactly 6,660 inches, 6,660 inches. So there it is, hiding in plain sight. The merging of the 2 seeds, the mark, how it will be done, a needle. Now, if you're blown away already, I hope you're sitting down for this, as I always say. Because when you zoom out the sight, something else emerges. So here we are. Let's get your bearings here. This is the Washington Monument, the vesica Pisces, the portal through which they'll insert a needle to merge the 2 seeds together. The mark 666. When you zoom this out, it becomes the heel of a foot. The heel of a foot. Here you see it right here. And not only it is a heel of a foot, the woman bruised in the heel with the needle, and she is crushing the head of the serpent. I'm going to show all that to you. Let's pull out the tool so we can draw on this. My goodness, you guys. So where's my drawing tool? Oh boy. Let's see here. This is unbelievable. I can't even believe this. Now, we had found this before, but now it's all fitting together because now we have the secret of the ovals, right? Remember, the White House is right here. We've got oval number 1. This is like the ankle. Then we come down here and we have the heel, bruised in the heel. This would be like the toe, right? And you can clearly see the profile of a foot. Here's the arch of the foot right here. Here is the heel of the foot. Now, if I could find my drawing tool, let's see here, extensions. Let's draw on the page. Okay. Okay, I think we figured it out. All right, let's do this here. Got to move this. There we go. Let's draw on the page. Let me draw this heel out for you. In case you've lost your mind. Well, wait till you see this. Sorry for the... Well, this kind of goes up. See how that goes up there? And like that. There's the foot. And I know that's a little bit sloppy, but this is the best we could do. So, what is this about? Well, let's go to an even wider view. Because you can literally see the head of a serpent underneath the heel of the foot, crushing the head of the serpent, but the serpent bruising the woman, the seed of the woman, and the heel. Remember, this is about the seed of the serpent and the seed of the woman. Except the serpent has other ideas. He's going to merge the seeds together so that to try to interrupt the prophecy. But it's not going to work. Let's try to outline this image here. I think, okay, there we go. That's how we're going to have to do it. Let's try to outline this. So, where is the serpent's head? Well, it's pretty easy to see if you have eyes to see. There's part of the head there, and you can see the tongue comes off here, these roads, kind of splits. So I have the split tongue. Then we have it here. And this particular serpent has devil horns, kind of like Trump's hair. Then it wraps around this dark pool. This must be... Whoa. Look at that. The dark pool is what's in the needle. This is how they're going to merge the seeds. Holy smokes. Let's fix this for you guys. Whoops. There you can see it. Now, I wish I was making all this up, but obviously I'm not. This is the Matrix. It's all been predetermined in advance. So, let me check in with you guys and ask you the question. So, does the human foot, does the human heel have ovals in it like we see in Washington, D.C.? Yes, it does. Let's read. I hope you're sitting down for this one. The os, the land of os, is in the heel, is an accessory bone that can form in the back of the ankle near the heel bone. It can be round, oval, or triangular, and is connected to the talus by a fibrous band. The Os Trigonum, the land of Oz. So, the heel has ovals in it, just like you see here. And now, a whole new spiritual world opens up, doesn't it? Trump's bone spurs in his heels and his swollen ankle, all manifesting out of the spiritual. And even his devil horn hair that we found in this image. Whoa. That's a trip. So, now if you don't know about the devil horn hair, that was day before yesterday's show. Trump's hair has seemed to change in recent photos, where it looks like it's the way it's combed over at certain angles look like he's got devil horns. The head of the serpent laid out in the landscape of Washington, D.C., hundreds of years before it happened. Now, there are many more ovals across D.C. There's too many to count, but I think we discovered the most important ones in proximity to the White House. Now let's keep going with this, because there's more. Humpty Dumpty was an oval egg, wasn't he? Here he is right here. So I wanted to go down that rabbit hole briefly with you guys. Now that we know that the oval is connected to Trump, the heel, the bone spurs, the os in the heel, right? The swollen ankles, it's pretty apparent. The Oval Office, people falling asleep, the land of Oz. Now that we know that, we can now look at Humpty Dumpty, which is also an oval, right? Is Humpty Dumpty Trumpty Dumpty? And at first, I thought there's no possible way the two could be connected, because this is a very old story before Trump was even born. But maybe this is an ancient archetype. You see, the author of Humpty Dumpty, the very first person that wrote about him, also wrote a book called Church Triumphant. Let's find it. Church Triumphant. Now, why is this important? Because it's a song about a false Messiah. Church Triumphant, which is used to sing, I know that my Redeemer lives. They're mocking, aren't they? The very first person that wrote about it. Now, Triumphant also has Trump's name in it, right? He's also building a triumph, an Arch of Triumph in D.C. But let's keep breaking this down. Because Humpty Dumpty, if you'll remember the nursery rhyme, he fell off of a wall, which of course was Trump's signature plan, the thing that got so many people inside excited. The first Humpty Dumptys were also depicted as a clown. Are you starting to see the archetype? And of course, Humpty Dumpty's appearance in Alice in Wonderland Through the Looking Glass. Time travel. So we have walls, we have Trumpty, we have triumph, we have clowns, we have a false messiah, we have the oval looking glass. Is this nursery rhyme connected to some ancient archetype, some ancient entity? Well, that's for you to decide. But let me give you some more evidence as we get into another Oz matrix. Which one is that? Well, none other than the ZOHAR, which of course has Oz backwards. Remember, in the Hebrew language, everything is spelled backwards. So Oz and Zohar could be the same thing. We're also going to talk about another part of the Oz matrix, which is Zoltan. The fortune-telling machine, Zoltan, has to be a knockoff from Zohar, and I'll explain to you why. Let's start with Zohar. And I'll put a link to all this for you guys. So you can, we're not going to dig too far into the Zohar because it is forbidden Jewish mysticism. It is the Kabbalah. And we're not supposed to delve into such things because of the demonic nature of these teachings. But just know that it is connected to the Talmud and basically is a book of magic. And to my shock and horror, the Zohar actually talks about the land of Oz. The land of sleep and dreams. According to the Zohar, sleep is a spiritual journey where the soul ascends to a higher realm to receive insights, healing, and a spiritual renewal, while dreams are messages from the higher plane. Sound familiar? It should. Because this is exactly what Philo wrote about. Philomena, the first who passed out into the land of Oz in the Oval Office. So now, your mind's probably churning, and you realize that the Wizard of Oz was really the Wizard of Zohar, a Kabbalistic movie, produced and the most popular movie of its era, produced and popularized, and it was literally a Kabbalistic movie. Wow. Well, it seems as though we have unlocked some of the secrets of deception that is leading many true followers of God to the pit, because they've been programmed by this stuff for as long as we can remember. So, you're probably wondering, so what does Zoltar, the fortune-telling machine, have to do with all this? Well, we all remember Zoltar. Let's find it here. This was Zoltar. Now, even as a child, everybody remembers this. There's another Oz connection here. Everybody remembers this creepy machine that nobody played with. And it was conveniently inserted into many arcades across America. I would say probably a third of the arcades that I went to in the 70s and 80s and 90s had this creepy machine. Nobody ever used it, but it just sat there all creepy, right? And even as a child, I knew to make a wide turn around this machine, right? And at this point, it's obvious that Zoltar was a knockoff of the Zohar, the Jewish mysticism and magic. But the connections go way deeper. And here's where I was just blown away. I looked up Zoltar, right? Because I wanted to know what's going on, and listen closely, okay? We're not just throwing a bunch of things together. This is real. The machine first appeared in movies and TV shows connected to time travel. Are you ready? The first appearance of this machine in a TV show was in a Twilight Zone episode. Remember, Zone? O-Z-Z-O. The land of Oz is the Twilight Zone. So now we've unlocked another key. The Twilight Zone was all about the veil of reality between what's real and what's not, between the physical and the spiritual. The Twilight Zone is the land of Oz. And the episode is called The Nick of Time. Now, let's go to this episode, because this is huge, you guys. Here it is, The Nick of Time, the Twilight Zone episode. And I was like, I pulled this up and I'm like, there's no possible way this could be connected to Donald Trump, but it actually is. He was only 14 years old, and the episode was 2 times 7, which was 14. And the episode opens with a man named Mr. Don Carter. And he's with his wife, and they're going to New York. Is Donald Trump an ancient entity? I think he probably is, but let me show you the rest of the evidence here. They are on their way to New York, and they insert a penny into the ZOLTAR machine. Now remember the word penny, because that's going to come up again in other places where this machine appears. They insert the penny. Don, going to New York. Now, the machine also appears in the movie Big from 1988, which is another time travel number. We firmly established the number 88 as a time travel number. It's also a twin number. And remember, in the movie Big, Penny, there's the word again, is twinned into a bigger version of herself. A twin. Wow. And this is why the movie Big released on a twin date, not only 1988, but June 3rd, which has it's the 155th day of the year in leap years with 211 remaining. So 2 twin numbers in the date that this released. Now, what does penny represent in all this? Well, the penny in the Twilight Zone episode and the movie Mr. Big has to be about the copper. It has to be about the copper. Now, let's go back to the Twilight Zone episode and this character, Dawn. Let's go back to that here. Twilight Zone, here it is. Nick of Time, Twilight Zone. So, who played, you ready for this? Who played Dawn in the Nick of Time Twilight Zone episode? Well, none other than William Shatner, who was born on Skull and Bones 3/22. 3 times 22 is 66. That Trump number again. This is why the episode aired on 3/22. What am I talking about? Take a look. November 18th is the 322nd day of the year. So the episode air date and William Shatner's warp speed Star Trek birthday is all about the twinning. 3 times 22 is 66. Everything points back to Trump, the Gemini, the 66 Gemini. Long before he was anything, he was just a boy. Now, are you ready for this? The machine, the fortune-telling machine, appears another time in Big Brother. Big Brother. And that most definitely has to be connected to its previous appearance in the movie Big. Remember Trump's signature term, bigly, big? It's a condescending term, and it's used to oversimplify his inflated ego and his lofty plans. Everything's bigger and better. Everything's gold. This is how he dumbs it down for even the simplest minds. He says it's big, and it's very condescending, isn't it? Now, here is the slam dunk. The shock of all shock. Because the fortune-telling machine also appears in the video game BioShock. And it goes by the name Epstein. Can't make this up. Here it is. Epstein the Swami. Which, of course, is also connected to Donald Trump, obviously. Let's read this, you guys. This fortune-telling machine appeared in the video game BioShock. Epstein the Swami machines are pessimistic coin-operated fortune-telling vending machines found in Fort Frolic. FF is 66. There it is again. You can't make this up. So you're probably thinking, oh, Casey, well, this simple explanation for all this. The name they named this BioShock machine after Jeffrey Epstein after he was arrested. Well, you're probably right about that because I had to look it up. The game came out in 2007, and that was 2 years after Epstein's first arrest. But what about all these Trump connections that we just uncovered? And what about the plot of the BioShock game, which is all about abducting little girls that they did experiments on, and their substance was harvested from their souls. The substance was called Adam, which is exactly what Epstein was doing. He wanted to be the new Adam, didn't he? By breeding. And the game calls these girls little sisters, and they had big daddies, which of course we know what all that means. I mean, how sick is this, you guys? The video game literally knew what he was doing, knew what was going on. Yes, Epstein was likely doing IVF, bringing us full circle back to the ovals and the needles and Washington, D.C., the bruising of the heel. And Trump's plans for IVF makes you wonder. And now you see it like I see it. We are dealing with an ancient entity in Donald Trump. There's no other way to slice it. This is the end of something. And that's the hope that we're getting close to the end. We have to be. For all of this symbolism to be surrounding a single president, we have to be close to the end, don't we? We have to be. Now, tomorrow will be a re-upload, and then the day after that, we're going to get into the Huggy Bear Matrix. Erica Kirk is basically, if a man was doing what she was doing, they would consider it groping. But because she's a grieving widow, there are more instances of her doing this to married men, and people are taking notice of this. It has now become something bizarre. So we're going to break that down along with other headlines day after tomorrow. But I believe tomorrow is going to be a re-upload. Let me go into the chat. Blown away, you guys. Blown away. I'll put links to all this for you. Do you guys have any questions about all this before I pop off of here? Wow. Can you believe this? Can you believe it? I can't. Eugenics, transhumanism, do not consent. Weeping Willow, says Cheryl. It's a good one. Soul Trap. Yep. Thanks, Rod Jones. Yes, the entire Christian nation is practicing pagan Babylonian rituals, veiled as Christian holidays. You nailed it, Julia. Nailed it. Kabbalistic magic everywhere. How about Zozo? I don't know who that is. How about Bozo the Clown? Oh, there's a lot of Oz's out there, aren't there? Okay. Now, this channel is obviously being shadow banned. What I just presented to you is groundbreaking information. and they're not sending out notifications for the channel. So the only way that this channel is going to grow and reach other people who can see this information is if you guys, all of you who are on Facebook, share it. Now, I understand that many of your Facebook friends probably don't care, but the very fact that you publish that, there's some term that they use, but basically it's the more places that this is put and people click on it, it helps force YouTube to share the video. It's called engagement, I think is what it's called. I know this is the back end of the channel and you probably don't really care about this, but this is what you can do to help grow the channel. The channel's not going to grow without you guys helping. All right. So share it, even if, and I know some of you aren't even able to share the video. You try to share it and it will like blocks you. That means we're shadow banned. So I think a lot more people are waking up. You know, it's crazy. Now, I believe that Candace Owens is likely a psyop, okay, because she's pushing the whole Catholic movement. But it's interesting now that she, the #1 podcaster in America, is now delving into some of the very same topics that we are covering on this channel, looking at the synchronicities, looking at connections, and now they're trying to demolish her. They're saying that she is being irresponsible by having free thought. These are all the things we've been talking about, you guys, about free thought, about the matrix and how it works, about true evil, who's behind it. These are all topics we've been talking about. And all of a sudden, the #1 podcaster in America is delving into this. I think we're on the precipice of something huge, aren't we? Now, again, not to say that she's going to bring all this to light. I think there's a psyop behind the psyop. Okay. And I could be wrong, but this is, you know, she's vowing now to find the killers of Charlie Kirk, right? She's the only one. And she's met with heavy resistance from the ZOHAR people. And guess what? They're accusing her of running a cult. Just all the exact same things that they've accused us of, right? They said, oh, the definition of a cult is that you tell the people that come to your channel that they're part of the channel. That's what we do. And at the end, you answer questions. That's what we do. And it's like all the exact stuff that we've been talking about. So they're basically trying to discredit what is the true love, true gifts, and all this. And they're doing it through Candace Owens. And I suspect there will be a controlled demolition at some point of her channel, which will then bring down all the other channels who have the same format. You guys, we've had this format for years, haven't we? And I'm not trying to say Candace Owens copied our format, but it's interesting that it has some of the same elements that we do, right? Giving the glory to God, always. The fact that you guys are the researchers that make the channel, and giving you a chance to chime in at the end. Those are all things that we've been doing for at least 10 years now, long before Candace Owens even existed or ran her channel that way. So we're entering strange times, you guys. The people with the true gifts are being copied, duplicated, and destroyed. This is their technique. And they hope that that will transition into other channels. We won't let that happen. We know that God is in control. And so, but it's just weird, right? It's weird seeing a lot of aspects on the #1 podcaster in America that are kind of reflected in what we've been talking about. You would think that it would bring more people to, watch channels like this. And remember, we'd always say like, so yes, I agree with you, Christy. Not a truth teller. She's copying. It's like a copy and destroy. They do this. This is CIA 101, you guys. They copy and destroy. Now, right now, Candace is getting a lot of sympathy. People are wanting to believe her. I wanted to believe her. But then I saw that there were just a lot of red flags. So I'm not on here to attack her because that's what they want. They want you to do that so that people will say, "Oh, you're part of the Juice Club." Anybody that stands against her is part of the Juice Club. She has a lot of things that she has exposed, like the magic bullet, right? That didn't pass through Charlie's neck. That alone should wake a lot of people up. But it's weird that she paired this with a losing investigation into, Bridget Macron. Like, you're not going to win that, okay? All that's going to do is bring negativity. And so that's weird that all that got paired in with it. And I always told you guys I had my suspicions about the transvestigation movement. Not to say that many of these people aren't transvestigation, transitioned, but why pick that battle? It's almost like, why die on the cross of, the flat earth? Yes, I believe the earth is flat, but is that what you want to lead with? And should that be the differentiator of good versus evil? I don't believe it should be, because unless we had a way to specifically prove it beyond the shadow of a doubt that would convince the world, then it just becomes a topic of division, right? So that's what I had to say about that. All right. Charlie Kirk, Captain James T. Kirk. Yep. Yeah. Now, it's not to say I'm not watching, Candace Owens closely to see if I can pull clues out and see what the PSYOP is. If there is a PSYOP, it's not to say that I'm not doing that. Of course I am. That's how I knew that she was starting to delve into some of the topics that we delve into on this channel and have been for a decade. So, yeah, we just got to wait and see. We got to see what's going on. But if you want to get chills, watch her episode from yesterday and you'll be like, whoa, this is a lot of the stuff Casey was talking about. She literally talks about the Matrix and how it all works and synchronicities. And I was like, okay. So, okay, what else is going on, you guys? Yeah, there's some kind of PSYOP behind. Oh, here's another thing. Okay, remember from day one, I remember this specifically about the 6th of Jan. I remember this specifically because I got a strike. They struck me out. Why? Because it was like the next day after it happened, I said it was a giant honey trap, remember? And I told you that the right and the left were working together, and that basically Trump summons all these people, and that if they really wanted to stop something like this, they had everybody's credit card information. They saw them gassing up on their way to the Capitol. They saw this gathering threat, right? They saw all the people coming. They could see everything, you guys. They could see when you buy a bat or a crowbar, right? They see it all, and they did nothing to stop it. And I told you that Trump was in on it, and later we were proven to be true because Trump could have pre-pardoned those people before he left office, the same way that Biden pre-pardoned Fauci before he left office, right? And he failed to do that. So they rounded everybody up, thousands and thousands of people. And remember, I told you that it was a giant honey trap. Well, I got a strike for that. They did not want people to know early on that Trump was in on all that. That he basically summons them because he knew they would get rounded up. Now we're starting to see the truth, aren't we? Because Trump is in bed with Palantir and Project Gotham, pre-crime. This is exactly the kind of people they're going after. They're looking at all your credit card information. They're determining if you are likely to commit a crime. And then they just go raid your house and arrest you. They black bag you. They can hide behind the auspices of ICE. They could say it was an ICE raid, or they're in the area doing ICE. And they just pick up a couple other people on the way. Well, lo and behold, now all of a sudden, all these mainstream podcasters like Candace Owens in yesterday's show said the exact same thing. Oh, the right and left were working together. Where was this sentiment 4 years ago when we needed to hear it? Why all of a sudden now it's convenient when nothing can be done about it so that they can look like the truth tellers when really we were the only ones really talking about it being a honey trap. So there you go. They steal, kill, and destroy. They copy, and then they bring it all down. So, all right, I'm back in the chat, you guys. What a trip. Truth overload. Yeah. Well, let me summarize and make it super simple for you. We're dealing with an ancient entity in this president and this White House. We are now in the midst of a true Hunger Games. They're playing games with people's ability to find food. There's a full frontal attack on nature and things that people used to be able to harvest out of nature to survive. We're seeing declining numbers in the deer population. There are more and more rules on how to harvest and when you can harvest things out of nature. The food supply is being tainted at record levels, far beyond what it ever has been before. And now they're like playing games with people's ability to get their SNAP benefit. These are the Hunger Games. And the Capitol, full of gold and decadence, just like in the Hunger Games is happening now. We already covered all that in a full show, the Hunger Games. If you missed that one, that was last week. Trump has laid in the White House in gold and the decadence of it all. He's wearing the makeup on his hands and his face, just like in the Hunger Games, faces full of makeup and wigs and fakeness. It's happening now. That's just to simplify things for you. The rest of today's show was just documenting this ancient entity, okay? Through these synchronicities, the Land of Oz, the Oval Office, the inauguration, the possession ritual, and how it's been repeated over and over in Humpty Dumpty and the Zohar and ZOLTAR, and in the movies in which it appears in time travel and all this. So that's the summary of today's show. It's actually not that complicated, but it takes a while to lay it all out for you guys and show you everything. And I have to go kind of slow because, you know, there's some numbers involved, but numbers isn't everything. It's not just the numbers. It's the archetypes that keep repeating over and over and over again. Repeating in Washington, D.C., the Washington Monument, the bruising in the heel, ovals everywhere. Oval is the egg. It is the seed of the serpent versus the seed of the woman, the very first prophecy in the book of Genesis. That's what this is all about. There's enmity between the two seeds. They've been battling since the beginning of time, and there's no different now. It's happening right now. So, Zoloft. Whoa, good one. Zoloft, another Oz key unlocked. Zoloft. Loft, like a loft is where you sleep. Zoloft, the land of Oz. Oz, Zo. Wow, good one. Snakes lay eggs. Yes. Good job, you guys. Okay, what else? Oh, if you haven't already, thumbs up this video. This is going to be one of our most important videos ever. It'd be sad to see this video sitting at 2,000 or 3,000 views with all the work that I put into this. So please thumbs it up and please share it on your Facebook, on your X, on your Twitter, and get the word out. And if you can, hype the video. I guess the hype helps as well, the hype button to get this out. All right, you guys. Well, I guess we're going to pop off here. I love you, and I will see you tomorrow in the chat with the re-upload, and then after that with the Huggy Bear Gate. Can't wait to cover that one. Wow. Okay, have a great day, everybody.